Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I got an extremely special guest, part of the Cryptocurrent crew. I was able to finally recruit this man who has been in the podcasting space for a while, creating all kinds of amazing content and also has incredible branding. If you've gone on our website recently, you've seen some updates. A lot of how we are positioning ourselves has a lot to do with this man today. So today we have Steven Miller. How you doing today?
What's going on, Cryptocurrent crew and Richard? It is a great day to be in the crypto space. And honestly, I'm just glad that I can finally be calling myself a member of the team. So happy to be here.
For sure, man. Well, definitely looking forward to discussing all the amazing things we have going on at Cryptocurrent. And for everyone listening, again, because this is internal, we have a couple of great announcements. So if you're used to our flow, you know that we come in and every week we introduce you to a thought leader in the space working on various projects. But we have even more exciting content coming soon. And so we're going to be teasing a lot of that, explaining a lot of it. But before we get into it, first, I want y'all to hear it first from Steven to give us a little bit of background on who you are.
Yeah. So again, I'm Steven Miller. I've been in the crypto space since 2017, but only as an investor and someone who's trying to get more education out of it. But since 2015, I've been in the software space. I started a company out here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I'm based. And that company had to do more with software for the retail space. And as I transitioned out of that, I had learned a ton about marketing. I was, in charge of the entire marketing division of that company. And I shifted into something new. I started moving more into the branding space. I wanted to help people figure out their identity. And that was fortunately one of the places where Richard and I first got a chance to collaborate. We started talking about the identity of Cryptocurrent and even the identity of Richard Carthon for a little bit there. But it was a blast getting the chance to start out on some of that stuff. But things started to gradually transition into the world of podcasting. And in podcasting, there was this big, I don't want to call it a renaissance because it's just not the right, word for it right now. But this big mass adoption phase is probably the better way to say it. That mass adoption started taking place probably around the middle part of 2018.
Yeah.
And as things started to pick up steam, we were starting to see hundreds of thousands of podcasts getting added into every directory from Apple Podcasts to Spotify to Stitcher, everywhere you could see. And as they were starting to pick up speed, more and more people needed help with building out the identity and the strategy for their podcasts. So my business, as I was, focused more on branding, started to shift into the identity development stage and space for podcasts. So in the time that I got involved there, I ended up, starting 2 or 3 different shows for folks, including my own over on decisiveleap.com that was geared towards, young professional development and leadership development. And we ran for quite a little bit of time. We're actually planning on wrapping that show here shortly because a lot more of my attention is going towards this show with Cryptocurrent and helping develop this platform. So towards the end of my time really being focused over at Decisive Leap, I got the privilege to be able to start up a show for Gary John Bishop. I don't know how clean you like to keep this content over here, Richard. So I'm going to omit the name of that show for the moment. But if you ever interested in some really great personal development content, go look up Gary John Bishop on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. And you'll see the show that we put out, and we put it out weekly. But I've been handling that in the executive production capacity now since September. So I'm staying on over there, helping them with that show. But that has helped me transition over into this. And now I'm helping Cryptocurrent a lot more with their branding initiatives, their operational capacities, and scaling this business up. And ultimately, I believe, getting a lot more people involved in the crypto space. And that to me is the biggest payoff of all, because if we can start building a much more inclusive and robust crypto community, not just of the tech savvy, but also of the newcomer, we're all going to be better for it by the end of it. So that's a little bit about me, where I come from, what is motivating me in the space. But I think that gives a pretty clear picture.
No doubt. No, I think you did a really good job of explaining everything. And I was excited that we even got to work through this whole progression, right? And slowly got you more and more interested in the crypto space. It was interesting because when you first got into it, it's pretty similar to the time when I first got in. We started, having some conversations here or there, but of late, being able to talk about it even more so because, at the time of this recording, everyone, it's early 2021 and we are experiencing a bull run. So, we've seen Bitcoin go all the way from basically in the last 4 months from 10 grand all the way up to 50, and with it looking like it's going to continue to progress forward. As Steven has joined our company and as we've trying to find more ways to plug in and as Steven said, talk to the newbie, what we found is our show does a really good job of saying things in layman terms and exposing people to opportunities and projects that you otherwise wouldn't know about. But we realized that there were still a lot of people who had questions today, who had questions like right now on what is the latest happening in the crypto space. And we wanted to have a way to have a pulse to that and be able to speak directly to these newbies, to these newcomers, and even to some of the experienced people as well. And if you haven't heard already, Clubhouse, which is currently only on iPhone, but will be expanding onto Android, recently came out and has provided us a tool to be able to have that direct connection. So I want Steve to kind of just expand upon, what we've been able to do with it and what kind of our plans are in the short term.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to expand on it. So as you've probably come to experience as a cryptocurrent listener, this is really just a dialogue for you to tune into. It's, a very fly on the wall atmosphere, if you will. Over at Clubhouse, it's finally giving you, the listener, the opportunity to join the conversation. And that to me is the biggest beautiful part about Clubhouse. It's bridging social media platforms like Discord and what you've seen out of Facebook Live, and even bits and pieces of TikTok content based on how long your conversations actually are, and bringing it all together into one really safe but authentically professional space. Nothing has ever been done like it before. People can claim that, there were platforms that were too ahead of their time in the last 10 years. Nobody's done it the way Clubhouse has done it. I don't care who you tell, who's telling me. Nobody's done it like Clubhouse has. So if you have Clubhouse or you want to get onto Clubhouse, reach out to Richard or I. Feel free to just ask us for an invitation if you're not on Clubhouse. But again, you've got to be on iOS for the moment. Once it comes to Android in the next couple months, hopefully you can join our conversations as well. But yeah, we're building it out right now, and you basically get to join these rooms and have live conversations with the room hosts. So for example, we host our weekly chat called Let's Talk Crypto on Clubhouse every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we get the opportunity to bring in different speakers from the space, maybe some speakers that you've heard on this show in the past. And they get to come in, have these authentic conversations with you, our audience, and you get a chance to actually ask your questions, get more clarification of what's going on in the space, what you're hearing, and really to dispel some of the voodoo. There's a lot of bullshit out there. And again, I know you keep this pretty clear and clean, but that's a reality. I'm not going to, shy away from that. There's a lot of bullshit out there in crypto. There's a lot of FUD. And for us to be doing what we do best over here at Cryptocurrent, we need a platform to be able to have actual conversations with people and dispel all of that BS. So Clubhouse is a phenomenal platform for it. There's a lot more utility to it beyond that. So give it a look and come join us, because honest to God, these conversations have been fantastic week to week.
Right. Yeah. We've been in this space for 4 weeks now, and each week we see more and more people beginning to join. And what's been very valuable is that we have a pretty good, I won't say template, but format that we go through. First, where Steve and I will come on, and we'll talk about the latest things that we noticed in this past week. Right. So, what are the hot topics that we heard about that we're exploring that you think you should be hearing about? Then after we expand upon that, we'll invite some people to come on to also share some of the things that they've been hearing as well before we go into a Q&A. So literally, if you have any question about anything, period, you have the opportunity to come and join us, ask your question, and not only have Steven and myself, but also other crypto thought leaders who can expand and help answer your question and give you resources. We've encouraged people who come on to actually come either with their laptop or with a notepad, because like we're going to be spitting out so many different things for you. You literally will have so much things to go and act on that you can go and try and then bring it to the next conversation the following week. We also encourage everyone who comes, and if they have a good time and they enjoy the content, invite your friend and let it organically grow that way. And it has been, and it's been pretty incredible. And I think, we're just at the beginning. We're going to look to eventually turn that club into a more exclusive group. If you're looking for more and more, even more hands-on access to Steve and I and to crypto leaders in this space, so that you can have a faster way to get in direct contact with us as opposed to week. So those are just a few of the things that we are planning on rolling out. And Steve, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I would say is I just want to echo what you had to say, Rich. Like, that is such a big point. We're really trying to make actionable content. We want to make sure that you can not only gain an insight, but you can immediately apply it. We were talking about platforms like last week or the week before. They're just outside educational resources about tracking the current market pulse. I'm sorry, I don't know many different groups that are talking about that stuff, that are actually bringing you resources that you can go click into on the fly. I mean, that informed me about 2 or 3 trades that I've made in the last 4 weeks. So
Right.
If you keep coming into these educational groups and you're getting both insights, but places to apply those insights, that's value. And that's what we're all about here. We're about giving you more educational value than any other platform. So Clubhouse is a phenomenal place for it. We've had the privilege, again, of just being able to grow week to week. But I think over time, we're going to also start rolling out some bonus content through our Clubhouse channel to you, the listener here. So if you have any interest in that, please keep your ears and eyes peeled on our socials to make sure that you're staying up to date on when we do launch those membership groups.
No doubt. And then one more thing to expand upon that as well is in those conversations, we do talk crypto specific. So again, we are not financial advisors and we are not giving financial advice. However, we are in the space and we are watching things ourselves. And there are things that we are looking at that could be advantageous through conversation. And again, we always talk about just giving you the tools to be able to go and act. In this past week, we actually had one of our people who have come in the last 3 weeks who have heard about some of the different cryptos that we've said that we've been watching, took their own action, decided to make their own choices, and said that basically since making those actions, their portfolio was already up 30%, which is pretty wild. And again, not financial advice. Again, we're going to tell everyone, do what you want, but do what you will. But it's amazing what you can do when you have access to knowledge and then make your own choice to go and act on it. And so again, that's the kind of value that we're being able to provide, person to person in these nice hour-long Clubhouse sessions that we do. So Steve, if someone's interested in this and wants to be a part of it, how can they join us in these Clubhouse sessions?
So the easiest ways to get involved with us, first and foremost, is give us a follow over on Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse. So if you want to follow me on Clubhouse, my handle is @Steven Miller. That's Steven with a V, Miller. And then you can follow Richard. Richard, what's your handle?
I believe is R Carthon. So R, then my last name, CARTHON.
But if you're not on Clubhouse, which is frankly a lot of people right now because it is still a rapidly growing platform, you can always get in touch with the two of us on our other social platforms and just straight away ask us for an invite. We each have the ability to invite people into the application and join the conversation there. And that way you can follow us directly and we'll keep you updated and send out immediate pings. So we'll be able to actually hit you with a direct notification whenever we're about to start our conversations if you give us a follow over there. So that's the easiest ways to interface. Again, apologies to you if you're an Android user, but you should have picked a better operating system.
Throwing the shade.
A little bit.
Anyway, it should be coming your way soon anyway. But just to give you a little bit of a taste of, what are some of those conversations look like, especially at the beginning, once we get that going. Steve, how about you and I just talk about, what we're observing this current week? And again, this is probably only going to be relevant for this particular week at the time of this recording. So hopefully by the time you hear this, it isn't too irrelevant. So the big buzzword right now that's going on, two big things happened. I'm going to let Steve talk to the NFTs that are going on, and non-fungible tokens. I'll let him speak to that. I'm personally going to currently speak about the fact that, and this is more U.S. specific, the stimulus bill just passed. So with that, we're starting to see everyone's going to get some more money, a lot more in cash injection. People are going to be getting these $1,400 and other workers' comp and other things as well. But that stimulus check, the last time someone did a stat when the first $1,200 went out, if you had put that in Bitcoin, I think it was like some stat that it would be worth like 10 grand today, right? Just some ridiculous return in a short amount of time, just ridiculous.
There's actually a chart online for it.
Yeah, which is wild, and even more so, people are bullish because a lot of people. Yes, there's a lot of people who need this money, but there's also a portion who are looking to use this money as an investment opportunity. And I would venture to say a lot of these retailers are going to use a portion of that allocation to go into crypto and probably specifically Bitcoin. And so there is a lot of bullish talk about that in particular right now. Also, March is usually a tough month for crypto in the world, but right now with consolidation, everything else that's been going out at its current levels, it's been staying. I mean, it reached up to 58,000, went all the way back down to like 43, 42, went all the way up to like 51, and now it's chilling somewhere between like 47 and 50. That is incredible. Like the fact that like that is becoming like our new baseline right now is very bullish sign that higher prices potentially are on the horizon in a very short amount of time. And that is highly encouraging, and it's very exciting. And as we look at that, you're also starting to get a lot of announcements of these crypto, or not these funds that are starting to diversify their portfolios, right? So people are starting to diversify into Ethereum, into Litecoin. You had MicroStrategy just buy a ton of Litecoin all of a sudden. So as you see more and more of these institutional players begin to diversify outside of just Bitcoin, we could be looking at an outrageously fun alt season. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to tee it up to Steve if he wants to add anything more to that or expand on NFTs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good point. And we talked about this a little bit ago on the Clubhouse session. I don't think it was last week. I think it was probably the week prior. And I made it perfectly known, again, not financial advice by any stretch of the imagination, but at one point or another, I was an absolute Litecoin maximalist. That's how I was operating in this space. I saw it the way that a lot of crypto newcomers see the space as like, oh, I can go and get into Litecoin for a way lower price than I can get into Bitcoin, and I can buy a full coin. You know, the people that are in the space for a longer period of time understand, oh, that's not how tokenomics works, right? That's not at all how this space works, how it actually contributes to the coin's value, anything like that. But a lot of these newcomers still think that.
Yeah.
So when they see the price of Litecoin currently, and they see the appeal of that, you better believe that some of these larger players 100% are aware that you've got the retail investor thinking about it from that perspective. And that's why they're snapping up so much of it right now. You're going to see a much bigger run out of Litecoin in the next 8 months, I personally think. My opinion, not my financial advice. But when I look at the broader picture here, you're dead on, right? The number of people that are going to end up taking those stimulus checks and pouring it back into the crypto economy, it's going to be silly. We're going to see some big time movement. And honestly, I think across the last probably the last 6 weeks, we've seen a lot of market manipulation.
Yeah.
It's been very, very clear that you've got big mining pools that are selling off in bulk, exiting positions and flooding the market with their Bitcoin, their Ethereum. And that's actually been one of the reasons I believe that Ethereum has stayed so constant in a channel through the last 8 weeks. I made a call during our very first Clubhouse session that I was expecting Ethereum to hit $2,500. I think I said by the end of February, by like the middle point in the 20s. And it totally missed. And the reason that it happened was just because things were being manipulated on the other side. It was the same exact thing that you saw in Bitcoin. You had a lot of mining pools selling off, and you had a lot of concern over the fact that you didn't have EIP 1559 passed yet. So we can talk about that at a later time. But to me, those are the big things that you got to echo out of what you had said, Richard. Like,
Yeah,
the opportunity's there and it's coming fast. But again, don't FOMO in. For the love of God, don't FOMO in. Buy the dips. Always look for the lower point in the market to enter where you're comfortable. Don't buy the tops. That's FOMOing in.
for sure. And with this, with everything that we're doing, one of the pieces of content that our listeners have been asking for is this type, right? Something that's very current, like what's currently going on right now. What should I be looking out for? How can I get involved in those things? And we've listened and we're now beginning to provide that. So if you found value in the conversation that Steve and I just had, again, make sure you check us out on Clubhouse. We are going to have a group that is coming out soon. So if you just go into Clubhouse and search for cryptocurrent, you should find us. But again, we also have our handles that you can go and follow us as well so that we can point you in the right direction. Also got a lot of big announcements on those groups that we will be making very soon as well. So I hope y'all are excited about it. I hope y'all are excited to be learning more and hearing more from Steve. As y'all can tell, he's a very sharp guy and knows his stuff with crypto and got a lot of other exciting things on the horizon.
Look, man, I'm just glad to be a part of it. This has been a lot of fun getting a chance to sit down and talk with you on the show, and hopefully you'll have me back at some point. We can talk a little bit more, keep things a little bit more current.
No doubt, man. Well, 2 final questions for you. Just like anybody else that comes on the show, a fun one is, if you could take all the knowledge that you have right now and pour it into yourself when you first got started, what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, it's a really good question, man. The one thing that I keep going back to is not to lose track of the original goal. Right? The way this market's operated through the last 4-year cycle has been predicted, right? Like, there's so much out there that says that every 4 years you're going to enter a bull cycle. Every 3 years you're going to enter a bull cycle. And I think that for those of us that had entered the market in 2016, 2017, and saw that bull market happen and saw Bitcoin surge to 20K, if you had that type of knowledge and had considered the golden ratio, again, if you want to learn more about the golden ratio, go online. There's plenty of charts on it up on TradingView and plenty of articles on it out there. It's no secret. But this golden ratio of how Bitcoin bull cycles relate to the Bitcoin halving moments, those instances where Bitcoin halves are so important. And knowing that now, I absolutely wish I had that in my back pocket back in 2016 and 2017 when I was first getting in, because as soon as the market fell off, I started watching it really, really carefully to find a place for reentry. And then all of a sudden that goal started slipping, and then it slipped a little bit more. And then I was like, well, these micro caps that I got into are now worth sub pennies. Might as well exit. What are you going to do? But the reality is, one of these lessons of keeping the goal in mind is don't ever sell what you've got at a massive loss. Even if it's just like you put $1,000 in, you put $500 in, and you've popped a little bit of money into a micro cap just to see if it'll run. If you lose the goal, you do what I did. If you keep the goal in mind and you hold and recognize, well, I didn't get out in this cycle, but I'll tell you what, keep the private keys in your back pocket, keep them in a safe space, because things will turn back around. It hasn't happened yet for Litecoin in this cycle, but you better believe the money that I had in Litecoin back then as a Litecoin maximalist, it's still there. That's the one that I told myself I am not shifting off of. I'm going to keep the goal in mind. There will come a time where it will bounce back. So keep that in mind now. Dollar cost average yourself in, invest in small tranches, and stay the course. Have an exit strategy, keep the goal in mind, and stay the course. That's what I would tell myself for sure.
Yeah, I think that's quality advice to not only give yourself, but for everyone listening as well. Make sure you have your game plan. Make sure you have your goal of what you're ultimately trying to get to. and play the long game. I know I say this very often. Crypto's not going anywhere, so you might as well plan for it to be here. And if you plan accordingly and play the long game, dollar cost average, all that, you're probably going to be very excited within the next 5 to 10 years, depending on what your trajectory looks like. Steve, what is a final thought that you want to leave with all of the listeners here today?
I think the final thought is that there are so many more resources that are coming available to you, and you have to stay updated on what those are. The fact that we're dropping these Clubhouse sessions, it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up on cryptocurrent just from a content perspective. We've got a lot more exciting interviews coming up. We've got more content coming up on the site, more collaborations in the works, and even a little bit of conference and expo experiences in the pipeline. Oh, yeah. So we're returning to a little bit of the pre-COVID hype. I don't want to get I don't want to get myself a little bit too hyped on it. But the reality is there's a lot of exciting stuff coming from us. But beyond us, we are all about you getting educated. We want you to have more resources available to you. And that to us is, if it's not through us, keep finding other places to get educated. Keep finding other influencers in the space that have positive contributions worth making, positive educational content worth viewing, and stay cryptocurrent, man. That is the creed over here. If you're not staying current, this space moves so damn fast.
Yep.
You got to stay on top of it.
Absolutely. Great final thought. Steve, now getting to brag on you a little bit, and as an aside, so Steve, again, does tremendous work with his own consulting with Decisive Leap. We also can help you if you have your own ambitions of doing your own podcasting, if you have any branding needs, if you're trying to get your brand off the ground, do all of that. Plenty of things that he can do to assist you. Steve, what are ways that people can connect with you personally and learn more about what you have going on with Decisive Leap?
I appreciate a little bit of that pump. I don't do enough self-promotion, so always appreciate that. You can always find me on majority of socials at stevemiller.phx or at stevemiller_phx. I think it's underscore over on Instagram, and it's dot everywhere else. But you can always check out decisiveleap.com. Unfortunately, at the moment, decisiveleap.com is probably not the best place to get an idea of my work. We underwent a bit of a hack in the last 6 months and have not totally recovered. But you can always reach me directly at steven@decisiveleap.com if you just want to get in touch. Or again, on Clubhouse at Steven Miller. Would be happy to talk to you, would be happy to see how I can help. But again, I offer a lot of services in the podcasting space, not only for strategy, but also production. So if you need help developing a podcast in concept or in actually producing a podcast, I can be a help there. And I also do a lot of brand identity development. That's the big thing for me in helping businesses figure out who they are beyond their product. So get in touch with me. I'm happy to help. But otherwise, you'll know where to find me over here at Cryptocurrent, because this is the big dog for me right now.
Absolutely. Well, again, everyone, I hope y'all enjoyed meeting Steven. You're going to be hearing more of him. And for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent. Today's podcast is brought to you by Tantra Labs, where you can earn 12% in Bitcoin and Ethereum yearly. Tantra Labs is a team of researchers, engineers, and data scientists, economists, and optimists whose primary focus is in Bitcoin, which they believe will usher in a more prosperous future built on sound money. They offer real-time loan tracking, fast automated onboarding, 100% payment history, and multi-sig storage. And again, you will get 12% APY on the crypto that you loan. Tantra Labs is taking on international clients as well as clients in the US, except for the state of New York. For more information, please go to tantralabs.io. Again, that's tantralabs.io.